The first voice recording was made in 1860. It was a 10-second fragment of the French folk song Au clair de la lune recorded by inventor Edward Leon Scott de Martinville. But who will make the final voice recording and when? What will it be? Who will hear it?
The fascist dictator of Bolivia is being thrown in jail. The one that was like installed by the U.S. The one
what did he do?
The one that took out Evo Morales. Women can be dictators too.
Well,
actually, I don't even know what she did. I didn't look into it enough. But one funny article was like, it's not even an article, it's some tweet. But it's
basically
she was like, she knew she was going to jail, and she tried to like stall by pretending to be sick. So there's like this image of her like getting like, I don't know, like they're like checking her heartbeat or whatever.
I feel like when they finally arrested Park Geun-hye, she did kind of a similar thing.
Probably, yeah.
I imagine when you're that rich and so used to getting away with anything, that it's like just inconceivable that you could face any type of punishment.
Yeah.
Truly is inconceivable if you live in a country like the United States of America, where you can never be punished. Though,
more or less, unless you're the really rare people that just get sacrificed by richer, more powerful
that's
people.
true.
But that's pretty rare.
In Korea, what usually happens is you get found out, and then instead of facing punishment, you just kill yourself.
Yeah.
Which is the noble way. Like the Seoul mayor, or recently, I don't know how much, have you followed the LH group in Korea at all?
No.
So like, you know how Korea occasionally open like new satellite cities around Seoul?
Yeah.
Like, and they like want like people to move there and like promote it and everything. Well, LH is one of the companies that helps build the new cities, but they found out where the next one's going to be. And I guess like there is some stuff to it that they've done this with previous cities, but they're like heavily invested in all the real estate. But all of their top execs started buying up the land and the apartment buildings and other stuff in those areas so that they could resell them for even higher prices with insider information, and it leaked. And of course, you know, people were pissed about it because like rent is rising here really quickly, et cetera, and it's getting harder and harder for people to pay their bills like everywhere else in the world. And their founder, whose name I have no fucking clue what it is, killed himself like 2 days ago because he got worried about facing punishment as all this leaked out. And I guess a lot of people are pissed in Korea about it now.
Yeah, it's weird. It feels like I don't want to like fall into some like stereotype about like Northeast Asian countries being like, but there just is a cultural difference. I feel like there just is. Like,
do you think that America would be better with Harry Carey?
I guess so.
Or is seppuku too noble for the Western audience?
I mean, it would have to be like mass. I mean, because then the other thing is like, well, I mean, the thing is, I just don't know. I don't know how many like powerful Korean people end up in doing prison time.
Oh, the prison system here is very lax. Like the way people are punished.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's
I think it's
people get fined a lot here for shit that, like, it's just like you're fined and then like that's kind of it.
I kind of think that's better, like,
well,
not necessarily trying to protect rich assholes, but
it's better until you get to the problem of like rapists like paying like $100 to get away with their crimes.
Well, it actually sucks because fines are usually a lot more detrimental for poor people than rich people.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of talking out my ass here about the Korean justice system, but like I do know anecdotally, like, and through Korean people that pay attention, like you know, there's no jury trials in Korea. It's all just like you go before a singular judge, and like they just unilaterally decide everything. And like apparently a lot of like sexual assault and rape cases get like
Yeah, it's been a big problem.
like unduly like tossed out, or like even if the judge believes the attack happened, like the guys like don't end up really doing prison time. It's just like it's like a minor fine.
The fine, and sometimes the victim's the one who faces more punishment. I've heard of a lot of like countersuits because they'll like
it's like
they'll sue the victim for like
my
libel.
good name.
Exactly. I mean, libel laws are a lot stronger here.
Libel laws are crazy here. It like.
So I think there's like a lot of cases where I'm no Korean legal expert but this is from like talking to Korean friends, especially like you, where like the victim actually ends up getting more screwed if they do try to prosecute, which is just like a shitty thing.
It also seems like maybe not totally like intentional, like designed from the beginning, but like it's definitely a way of like obviously it's like deterring people from coming forward, which is, I mean, there's no other way to say it. It's just like creating like rape culture, I guess.
Yeah, I'm always weird about.
It's probably one of the more fucked up things about this country, actually.
For the most part, I feel like jail and prison are not really a good way to deal with any type of crime, but I don't really know the best ways beyond just like figuring out like good.
Yeah, I mean,
hospitalization and social things.
When it comes to like,
I know.
When it comes to like rape and murder, I don't know. It feels like until the science advances, like people are not. I mean, I don't know what reforms someone like that. To be honest,
I don't either. I'm not an expert.
I don't think it's like a phase that you grow out of, and I don't think it's like, I don't even think it's honestly like a moral thing. Like, oh, this person like has chosen to be a fucking rapist, or like has chosen to they get off by killing people. Like, it's like, okay, you got an unfortunate fucking lottery, genetic lottery. Your brain is fucked up. You got to stay away from people.
I think most murder is like acts of passion, from what I understand.
That's why I said specifically like people that have like a sexual pathology attached to like killing and like serial killers. I mean, but even people that like quote unquote make a mistake and like kill someone in the heat and like out of anger, like in a moment or something.
I think the problem with that is a lot of is it hard? I think it's hard to get help if you do have those type of inclinations.
Yeah,
maybe
agree.
You never want to.
I don't have the answers at all. I mean, I think you and I have talked about this before, like with regards to like pedophilia, like.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting place where you can literally get arrested for like trying to seek help before you do anything bad.
Oh yeah, right. That's right. I forgot about that.
There was a really good I forgot what podcast it was now. I actually think it might have been This American Life, or it could have been Reply All from like years ago. It did like a whole episode on it that I found really intriguing. I'll have to look it up at some time. That was like,
yeah, because some people like, they sense these things in themselves and they know it's wrong. They can't seem to help themselves. They like want help. But I think the issue is that there is no like protocol. There's no deprogramming pedophiles like methods, like, as far as I know. I mean, maybe some people are like working on it, but like I don't know, because I think it's a way overly simplistic to just think like some people just make really bad decisions. It's like, do you really think like a series of bad decisions is what makes someone like attracted to babies or whatever? Like, that's like, I mean, this is where I become like a sort of like a very materialist, reductionist, I guess somebody would say, like, it's just all in the brain. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody chooses that. Not anymore. Because, like, and I think the slippery slope thing, like, what people are afraid of, like, with even, like, pursuing, like, having the conversation, even, like we're even having right now, which is why
I'm worried that we're going to
like,
be just shamed off the internet after this conversation.
I don't know if I'm even going to put this on, but
where two guys talk about subjects that they don't know a lot about. But I'm just saying that there is, especially for people who want to get help, like if they know that their inclination is to, like they want to commit those type of crimes and they're seeking help.
Who do they get referred to? That's the problem, is there's no, and I think maybe, and I don't think it's right, but I think that's the reason that people are like being preemptively punished, which that's crazy. That's like Minority Report type shit.
Yeah.
What do they like? Do they do jail time? Like, I haven't looked into that. Or are they just being like on a list or something? Or
I think you get put on a list. I'm not 100% sure how it all works.
Because I mean, you could say like I've had the urge to kill my boss or something, and like you can't go to jail for that.
Not yet.
Not yet, I guess, but I don't know. I mean, I think people are afraid of like because once you admit that, like, okay, murderers and rapists and pedophiles don't choose to be that any more than you or I choose not to be those things, and then maybe it falls into this scary area of like, because that's the argument like sometimes people make for like when fucking bigots are like, oh, being gay is a choice or whatever. And a lot of people say, when did you choose not to be gay? You know, as like kind of a comeback to like a straight person who's being a bigot. Because there's no point in your life where you're like, I've decided to be straight now, you know? And it's just making the point that, like, you know, a lot of things that we are and do, like, we don't have any control over. And that in general freaks people out. But then, like, also if it's gonna like people think, okay, that's gonna put pedophiles and murderers or whatever on the same moral level as like gay people. But like, no, because I mean, one is like, I mean, obviously some of these things are like damaging to other people, and like being gay isn't. So I don't know. But I think people are afraid of nuanced discussions, but it's not going to help. It's not going to help anybody. It's not going to help society to like just keep pretending like, you know, fuck these people. You know, they did what they did. They chose to be who they are. I mean, no one really says it in those words, but that's the way we treat them.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying like we should have like be like, we don't have to be like super empathetic either, but it's like we should want to know if there's a way to stop people from doing shit like that. We should want to know what it is and figure it out.
I think there are people who want to know what it is.
I know there are, but like some people, a lot of like counter arguments are like, oh, well, you're reducing everybody to like their brain activity. And it's like, well,
I've also heard that, sorry, this is dumb conspiracy theory stuff, but I've also heard that this stuff is studied so that they can suss people out, much like Minority Report.
Oh, they're like, if you've had like these urges, like sign up for this study, and then it's just like a sting.
Yeah, or more of like, if they get it down to like a certain place, it's like, oh, we just know how to spot these people by, I don't know, fucking irises or some shit.
Oh, okay, that's even weirder, yeah.
But anyways, All nonsense. Not really what we're here to talk about today.
No, we have pretty vague plans anyway.
Texas has decided to go mask-free.
What? Oh, I thought I was all up to date. Actually, I've been.
Oh, you haven't followed that at all?
No.
I guess Texas decided to go against like the rest of America and get rid of masks. Decided they don't need them anymore.
Oh, I think I heard about this in passing, and it was like, it's funny how unsurprising it is, I guess. Yeah, I did hear about it. Oh, man. Yeah, COVID's never gonna fucking end. I keep reading all these, like, I was gonna say doomsday, but they're just, I don't know, they're not really doomsday. They're just articles that are going against the grain. Like, basically, like, a lot of mainstream media is like, just, if not lying, they're just really spinning the reality of what's going on with the vaccines. Like, we're at like 2% vaccination. By we, I mean the United States, and we need to be at 80% to possibly reach herd immunity. And people are like, fuck yeah, it's all over. Mask-free Texas. It's like, we're very far away. Actually,
fascinating.
Maybe
really
it is more than
actually.
2% now. Now I'm looking at numbers here, actually. Let's say 9.4%. Maybe 2% was a while ago.
As much as I shit on my home country, they've actually been vaccinating fairly quickly recently. Like, quicker than I would have expected. I don't know if it's quick enough. Also,
it's
I have ran into like family members now and people I know from home who are refusing to get the vaccine because it is a plot to turn you into docile Democrat cows.
Yeah. It's Jeffrey Epstein's spunk is in there or whatever.
I thought Epstein was a staunch Republican.
I was just thinking out loud about the other ideas about the vaccines. Or like Bill Gates. Bill Gates put something in there. I don't know.
Bill Gates nanobots.
Yeah, maybe nanobots.
Nanobots. You can't see them, but they're out there.
I have been reading up a little bit more on Bill Gates, a very little bit, but like, he's a pretty bad guy.
He's done bad things in the past.
No, he is like doing bad shit right now.
He's
eradicating that's very,
mosquitoes.
Very specific of me to say.
He's eradicating mosquitoes, and I'm okay with anyone who wants to eradicate mosquitoes. That's a service to the fucking world.
I don't know. I feel like I need to read more about that. I have a suspicion that like just wiping out all mosquitoes might negatively
everything
affect.
I've read has said that it would be great for humanity and great for me and great for Summers. And anytime I've read anything that could like contradict the eradication of mosquitoes, I've quickly dismissed it as
I was going to say, what are these things you've read?
I haven't read a lot, but I'm basing it on the fact that mosquitoes suck. They look gross too.
Now I'm very curious. There are 3,500 species of mosquitoes, and they're not all bad, according to Forbes.com. Yeah, some of them are an ally because they eat worse or bad mosquitoes or eat their eggs. Anyway, I don't know. Bill Gates is just doing a lot of weird rich guy stuff that he might even believe is actually like good for the world, but I think ultimately it's probably he just wants to privatize the world. Like he doesn't believe in public what's the word I'm looking for? Services, just in general. Like, he just like thinks everything should be, owned by private corporations, which is why he's like bought up all that farmland and all the other stuff he's doing.
Are you saying he wants to be John Galt?
I guess so. I never read those books or that book.
I don't know a ton about him, but I figure like every rich person that most philanthropy is just for tax cuts and like way less helpful than saying government programs could be.
I wish I could remember anything right now. Like I forgot. Like Max Blumenthal, the guy who writes for what's it called, The Gray Zone. I like his stuff. There's a whole expose on Bill Gates there. Maybe I'll drop a link in lieu of me forgetting everything about why Bill Gates is bad right now. But I did just read a bunch of stuff. It ultimately comes down to like just wanting to privatize every square inch of the planet. Looks like there's a bunch of COVID cases at the Tesla plant. A lot of random stuff in the last week or so. Oh man. Oh, I mean, I guess the passage of the amazing bill that's going to save America, the $1.9 trillion bill. It's such a fucking joke, man. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I do know what else to say about it, but like,
why is it a joke?
Well, I mean, the big news that was going around, at least like in the left Twitter sphere, I don't know if it was even being talked about outside of there, honestly, was like how easily the $15 minimum wage was ripped out of the bill just by Joe Manchin and Kirsten, whatever, Cinema, and a couple other Democrats. Did you see the fucking? I mean, this was like
all 50 of the Democrats signed, right?
No.
Oh.
Well, no. I mean, I'm saying they.
Well,
they
yeah.
rejected,
No, I just mean,
rejected the bill with the minimum wage in it.
I feel like they would have still signed had the minimum wage been put in it.
They didn't.
They didn't put it in there. I know. I'm just saying.
Did you see the footage of Kirsten Cinema marching up to the fucking thing to put and doing a thumbs down? She was wearing.
Of course, I did.
Yeah, so I'm saying like they've said distinctly, no, fuck this thing, get that out, and then we'll pass it. That's exactly what happened.
But maybe if some other Congress people had said, no, we won't pass it unless it's in there.
Right. Yeah, if the 12 members of the squad fighters did shit, if they ever did anything, were like with their fucking jobs,
and said, hey, this very popular legislation with your $15 an hour paycheck is not getting passed because of these two motherfuckers.
I mean, wait, so now I feel fucking stupid because it passed the House with the $15 minimum wage in it, right?
I didn't
must
think it
have
did,
because
but I guess so.
Because the Senate like the whole Kirsten Cinema thing was her rejecting it. Now I'm getting confused. Because that makes me think then, okay, what could they have done? And now it makes me feel like I wasn't paying close enough attention. I've been paying close enough attention to this stuff these days. It's been harder to lately for whatever reason.
It was because of the Senate. The Senate's the one who... House Democrats included the $15 minimum wage in the rescue bill.
So then I'm wondering, when like a lot of people have been ripping on the squad for like not doing more, but it's like it sounds like once it hits the Senate, there's nothing they can do. So I'm confused because I heard a lot of talk about like AOC, etc. could have like used their leverage to get the $15 minimum wage passed, and
Yeah, I don't know how much leverage they would have had.
well, they have no leverage
Senate.
in the Senate.
There are people in the Senate who could have maybe swung their leverage around.
But I heard people specifically talking about the squad, which is all in the House, and
no, I made it through the House with that.
So I guess I don't know what those people are talking about. Yes, I mean Bernie Sanders, etc., in the Senate could have put their foot down, but they didn't. Instead, Bernie Sanders was like, "This is an amazing bill." He was praising it up and down. Didn't say word fucking one about the $15 minimum wage, and that thing was not even going to get people to $15 an hour until 2025. You can't even get that. It's so fucked up.
I mean, Bernie Sanders said he disagreed with it, but at the same time,
he voted for it. I mean,
he voted for it, and I think, I don't know, it's like Joe Biden also says he's disappointed by it. But if they're all fucking disappointed by it, why didn't they tell the two or three members who didn't want it to just fucking fall in line? Which is what Mitch would have done.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is that there's all kinds of executive actions Biden could be taking. Biden could basically expand, like, it wouldn't be quite the same as getting, like, the Medicare for All bill passed, but he could, like, expand Medicare to cover everybody.
Yeah.
Even if it would be, like, maybe not necessarily as sort of permanent, quote unquote, as, like, a bill passing would. You know, he could abolish the student debt, like all kinds of things to like pull people out of this fucking crisis, at least, or to like even just sort of pull people out of it. And I don't know, this bill fucking sucks, man. And they were like patting themselves on the back. There were all these people, like they were like fucking fireworks going off and shit. Like Biden made a speech about how great this bill is. And you know that it's important when Biden finally is forced to actually like speak in public, because that's another side note thing. But because Biden hasn't taken like questions from a journalist that weren't like utterly like planned down to the, you know, to the punctuation mark for 50 some days. Which is apparently like a new record, or it hasn't happened for like over 100 years with a president. And like I'm saying it like it's surprising, the tone of my voice. It's not surprising at all. Of course, they're hiding him from everyone. But it's funny how people are still hanging on to this idea that he's not senile. Like even Reagan like was like forced to confront like journalists, and the thing is like he wouldn't even have to confront like hostile journalists. It'd just be mainstream ones asking him softball questions, but like he still just can't handle it. I've been seeing all this footage of like how his handlers like they just strong arm the journalists around him. They're like, time to go. They're like shoving people around, and Biden just looks confused as fuck like every time. It's like, oh, a man's talking to me on this side, and another man's talking to me on this side. Like there was this particular footage of him getting really confused because there were like two people trying to talk to him at the same time, and like yeah, his like team of people just like hurried everybody out of the room, and like it just they were like treating him like a child. They're like, come on now, come here, boy. Whatever, I don't know, but this putting this money in to subsidize Cobra into the bill really makes my head explode. Cobra is disgusting. Like it shouldn't exist. It's basically like, hey, you lost your health insurance? pay 10 times as much for ours. We're here to lend a helping hand. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but like that's basically what Cobra is. And like we just gave them $52 billion, a company that already has a shit ton of money and profits quite nicely already. I saw someone like break down that 52 million could be used. Let's see.
I saw something like the 52 million could actually be used to.
Okay, so the way that it's being used for Cobra is going to cover 1.3 million people.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was used to extend Medicare to the public, it would cover 18 million people.
Oh.
I mean, that's just like basic math.
But if we extended Medicare to the public, it would hurt insurance.
It would hurt
payers.
Cobra. And Cobra is who pays
That'd be
our
terrible, man.
fucking re-election campaigns and shit. Yeah, it's just all... This is
the
all
original
boilerplate fucking corruption shit, but, you know, it just keeps going on.
It's my understanding that originally FDR wanted Medicare to be, like, cover everyone, and then he never could get it to pass all the way.
Yeah, I think he had, like, the, I forget what it was called. It was, like, it was, like, a list. It was, like, in addition to the things he had already created. Like,
yeah.
He was like, these are the things we should have in the future. And one of them was, like, yeah, just, like, nationalized healthcare, I believe.
No, he like tried for it, and I think like it got derailed when World War II started, but I'm a little unsure about that.
Could be.
Anyway,
Americans Bill of Human Rights or something. There was some.
That sounds right. Americans aren't supposed to have good things. They're supposed to work really hard to get mediocre stuff.
Greatest country in the world over here.
Country with the most stuff that no one wants.
There's this video of, I'm not going to harp on this for too long, but it was really dispiriting to see just more like AOC sinking further into the mud, in my opinion. Like, she's posted some video somewhere and it's her just being like, I can't do anything. I need you guys to back me up and all this shit. And it's like, then why do you even have a job? Like, people are backing you up. People got you into this position that you're in right now, and with the expectation that you would do things and fight for things. And instead, she's just like posting about how great this new bill is. And like, weirdly, like out of this, she listed all this stuff. And one that was in all caps, like in the middle of the list, was the Cobra shit. It says free. I'm looking at it right now. It says free Cobra premiums through September! Exclamation point. And like all the other things are such like, right. Number one, top of the list, $1,400 stimulus checks. I mean, people should be ashamed to even be talking about that right now. I mean, because they're supposed to be fucking $2,000. Then $300 weekly unemployment. It was $600 before. So like all of these things were like, have just been like, the Democrats are in charge of the government, and they've effectively negotiated themselves down in like every way, and are now like bragging about it. It's just so weird.
Well, they love to negotiate. Or that's the thing I read constantly, is they love to negotiate.
Yeah, they love to negotiate. They love to make things complicated, but it's also like the bottom line beyond all of their little like tendencies is like they're doing what giant companies are demanding they do. I mean, I'm not breaking any news here by saying that, but like that's what ultimately all it is. Oh, she bragged about, again, this is the second time she's bragged about this. FEMA will pay you back. So you get reimbursed up to $7,000 for COVID funeral reimbursements. I love when I see these things too, especially from the Democrats, when it's like, all the means tested stuff, because it's like, you can get up to, and then like they put the maximum number, of course. Like when they were talking about the student loan rate, like forgiveness, the Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren thing, they were like, you get up to 50 grand.
I haven't looked into it enough, but then also this bill include some work requirements for like the unemployment stuff now, because that like makes it a lot harder for people who
unemployment
may not be able to work.
Unemployment insurance in America is already hard enough as it was. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, every time I ever applied for unemployment where I thought I would get it, I was refused for some reason. But Tennessee is notoriously hard for getting unemployment.
I think it's hard everywhere, man. I mean, maybe some states are better than others, but I don't know. I tried in Texas. I tried once in my life in Texas, and I was like swiftly denied.
Yeah, this is like kind of off base, but like coronavirus. We are vaccinated, and America is vaccinating faster than just about any other country right now, from what I've read. But part of the problem with that is there's like this, there's an unequal distribution of vaccinations. So like other countries, like say South America, or even here in South Korea, where the numbers are very low for coronavirus because they've handled it well. But relatively, I know we've had our problems, but compared to other places, they've handled it well, mostly. But the unequal like distribution throughout the world, where like say everyone in America is being vaccinated because the whole America First thing that Trump and Biden are both like fully backing, and maybe there's a reason to have nationalism with vaccines. The problem is with poor countries or just other countries, that means the virus keeps circulating because there's not this like equal distribution of the vaccine.
Yeah.
So that allows more variants to start popping up everywhere. And eventually you might just get a worse variant that the vaccines no longer cover, which is kind of scary.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many reasons to not be breathing a sigh of relief right now about COVID. Like,
it's like this
the variants are a problem that like no mainstream news seems to be wanting to talk about anymore. I mean, they still say like, oh, some tiny study said that the UK variant is, can be affected the same, like similarly by this and that and the other vaccine. But then they leave out the South African variant, which is like basically immune. I mean, not completely, but like, I mean, that's the other thing is like, just in general, the studies are so limited and in such early stages about all of this shit that like, I don't know, man. Like some part of me is almost. Okay. Did you see in Ireland they just suspended the AstraZeneca vaccine because there've been like blood clots or whatever, and maybe that's not a huge deal, but like.
Well, I always wanted to share this quote from an infectious disease expert at the University of Minnesota, Dr. Michael Osterholm, but he's like, neither the United States nor any other global power can defeat a pandemic by thinking in national terms. COVID-19 vaccines are now a central component of the United States' national security and defense, but unlike other spheres of defense, this one involves protecting, not fighting foreigners. As the poet John Donne noted centuries ago, no man is an island, entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. Never has that been truer than during the current worldwide plague. If the bell continues to toll, it will be tolling for all of us. And, basically he's saying that if we don't vaccinate the world, like right now, the U.S. and the countries that have the vaccines are kind of like stockpiling them and not sharing them.
Yeah.
So like it just keeps the whole world from being vaccinated. But the thing is, to get rid of like a global pandemic, you have to make sure everyone's vaccinated.
Yeah, and it's because it's not like the U.S. is gonna like really lock down the borders. Like we never really did maybe initially for a little while, but like Yeah, I mean, this shit spreads very easily unless you completely deny like all entry into the country. Like, it's going to just continue spreading until like you say, until it's basically. I mean, I'm pulling this number out of my ass, but like, if 80% of the United States needs to be vaccinated in order to reach herd immunity, which is the last number I saw, even fucking Fauci like copped to that one. Then I imagine on a worldwide scale, we'd probably need about 80% of the globe to be vaccinated. Yeah. I mean, maybe that's wrong. Like, maybe I'm just like transferring the percentage in a dumb way, but I'm agreeing with what you're saying. And it
might be like less in some countries where the infection rate's like lower. I'm not really sure how that works. Like, say, like, the infection rate's really high in the States, right? So yeah. Maybe you need more people to be vaccinated to reach herd immunity, but maybe if you're in a country where the infection rate's really low, you need less people. But I'm just honestly, I'm not sure how that works.
I wonder what percentage of the globe needs to be vaccinated if there's going to continue to be like international travel. So I don't know. And in the way that there's all this unequal distribution of the vaccine, like amongst the nations, then within nations is the same thing is going on. I mean, poor people are getting the fucking shaft on this thing right now in the US. Of course the rich are getting vaccinated first. Like, of course. Remember the plan, though? It was like frontline workers were all going to get vaccinated. Oh, suddenly essential workers no longer are like people who work at fast food restaurants.
Oh, really?
And they're, well, I'm
what's essential now?
I'm pretty sure that people working at fast food restaurants are not being given priority.
Man.
And remember that whole thing we went over with like it was
teachers aren't being given priority.
Yeah, and they're opening up all the schools everywhere, and like you said, Texas is going mask free and all this insanity. Like, I just now read Biden saying he's criticizing specifically the Republican governors who are ending statewide mask mandates, calling it a big mistake. Motherfucker, you're not making a federal mandate. You have the power to do that, you idiot. These people, I hate it.
State rights, man.
Yeah, states' rights.
So, my understanding, this is going back to Cobra now, but my understanding is the only way to get Cobra is if you were employed and you were fired, right? So, like...
I think that's how it works, basically, yeah.
Well, that's shitty. What about the people who just don't have insurance or were never employed and can't afford it because they don't?
Who cares? Doesn't matter. They've got nothing to contribute to.
This reminds me of the whole like single mom thing that I think I was talking about on the podcast at some point, where it's just like fucking hard, like because all the most of the assistance is tied into also making sure you're employed. And mothering doesn't count as being employed, generally.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, I saw some calculation that was like, and this is probably low, but even if it's double this, it would still be worth doing. It was some calculation saying that you could vaccinate the globe if it was like done in like a unified way, or unilateral way, or whatever. You could vaccinate the globe for like $25 billion. And like, I read you that figure about that went to Cobra, right? 52 billion. So, I mean, it's like the thing with the Elon Musk has decided not to end world hunger today. It's like Joe Biden has decided not to vaccinate the globe today. I mean, it's not just him, of course, but you know what I mean? Like, rich elites have decided not to end the pandemic today. Is something you could say every day, basically. Like, A, we could be locking things down like we always go on about, and like paying people to stay home. But B, you get on top of that, now that there are these vaccines and apparently they're basically working well, there are enough people on the planet to fucking vaccinate everybody else. Like, wouldn't be that. I don't think it would be that hard. But this is what you get. This is the efficiency of the market, right? Like, A, we've got the problem of like there's 5 or 6 vaccines out now, something like that. Maybe not even that many. They're all profiting madly off of the vaccine. Like, another thing that could be done at least by the US government, I know for sure, is they could like just nationalize. They could nationalize the vaccine. But, of course, none of that shit.
They're not going to do that.
Oh, I know. I'm saying, like, in theory, like, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's
I've
not
mentioned
as
it
crazy
before.
of an idea as people want to like imagine it is.
They could also, like, I know that there's been a shortage of healthcare workers, or part of what slows stuff down is just like a bottleneck of how many people can give the vaccine. They could literally train people to give injections and like make a government's work program of it.
Yeah, they could
Maybe
do
of
that.
people who's been vaccinated. You've been vaccinated and you volunteer to do government work for making sure everyone else gets vaccinated.
Yeah, so much of the problem is all in this fractured like states' rights bullshit. Like, I don't know. I mean, in some ways, I guess it like where does all that states' rights stuff come from? Right? Is like a fear of like a strong like centralized federal government could be like could impose tyranny or whatever. But instead, we just have like 50 tyrannical little kingdoms inside the country instead. I mean, look at New York and California, how fucked up they are at this point, and Texas for that matter. Anyway, we should talk about the man who sold his soul to the Bloomberg terminal or whatever.
To the Bloomberg terminal. Well, before we get to him, because I do think we should talk about that, but what made me think about it was the rash of new startups, as they say in the New York Times article, that's making it easier for digital creators to monetize every aspect of their life, down to what they eat, who they hang out with, and who they respond to on TikToks. But I guess one of the big emerging markets in like internet content creation is selling yourself, and there's like this new startup called New that is trying to like basically start a human stock market where on their app you'll be able to buy votes to basically choose your creator or your content creator's day-to-day decisions by investing in them, being like, what I would really like Michael to do today is eat bananas for breakfast. And then everyone who votes eating bananas for breakfast, if it wins out or enough money gets to vote it, that's what he has to fucking eat for breakfast. But like, we're reaching this real sad place where like, like people are... What it reminds me of is like the fucking high school auctions where someone is sold off as a slave for a day.
Yeah.
But in a much bigger
Very
scale,
cute.
where it's like you sell the fucking Twitch streamer as a slave. Or, like when we finally monetize and start making a ton of money, instead of like normal monetizing, we're like, hey, if you donate to our Patreon, if you donate this much money, me and Josh will do a whole episode where we pretend to be Anon supporters and that we believe everything. Just let us know what kind of content you want. Pay us this much money. And it gets like this. It's weird. It's like a weird vibe of being like, holy shit, this is the next place in content creation. You're just going to be paying people to like basically being like, hey, we have money. We're controlling your income. I guess it's not that different than like just any bosses, except for having like your boss be faceless strangers who like your content but at the same time want to control every aspect of it. I don't know. It seems really dystopian to me, but seeing like posts about like this new startup, New, and I think the other one's Peach Pear or something like that, where basically they just want to like monetize letting fans control their favorite creators or content creators, whatever you fucking call like internet celebrities now. Made me think of IPO Man, which I think is a very interesting story and kind of like the precursor to this, because he was like big in like the early 2010s, 2013.
It says that he started in 2008.
Yeah, the article that I sent you was from 2013, but he started in 2008, started selling himself off.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. Like, so there's this guy, Mike Merrill.
He divided himself into 100,000 shares.
Yes.
To be
Let's
sold.
read the first paragraph here.
Okay.
In 2008, a 30-year-old part-time entrepreneur named Mike Merrill decided to sell himself in the open market. He divided himself into 100,000 shares and set an initial public offering price of $1 a share. Each share would earn a potential return on profits he made outside of his day job as a customer service rep at a small Portland, Oregon software company. So what I don't understand immediately, and I did read, I kind of read/skimmed this whole thing. It's kind of long.
It is long.
But what are people investing in? I don't understand, at least in the initially here.
They're investing in his success. Like, so they think that their friend Mike or their family
But he's
member
a
Mike
part-time
has the
customer
potential to be
service rep.
what?
He's a part-time customer service rep. So,
Right
like,
now, but with their investment money, he's going to make himself into something more, and hopefully that investment money will come back to profit them later.
so
when
like,
they
but
decide
I mean,
to
like,
cash out.
but I mean, like, lay it out for me really, like concrete terms. So you mean like if he, as his entrepreneurial self, invented some fucking thing that he could sell on Shark Tank or whatever, and he made like $5 million, they would somehow get some percentage of that $5 million?
Yeah, because like they're buying into like his current net worth. From what I understand.
They're buying his net worth. That's what I needed to hear to make
Yeah.
more sense of it. Okay.
And eventually they can cash out
Right.
for whatever his current value is. And like the investment they're making into his current life or his current life then was
$0 though, right?
that there would be future returns. No, I think his friends actually bought stocks. Like one guy bought 302 stocks.
But I mean, I don't want. Sorry, but I was just trying to get clear on this. Like, it says outside of his customer service rep job, so like, it didn't seem like he was making any money though.
Oh, right. Well, he started by, I think he wanted to like sell shares in himself so that he would have some initial startup funds. And
I see. So the money
he originally
is-
sold the
okay.
shares for $1 each.
Okay. Yeah, this is weird.
It is
gets
weird
so much
because
weirder.
basically he let himself be controlled like a business where different shareholders had different ideals of what would make him successful, and he had to suddenly start like pushing in those directions.
Right. It goes on to say that this is not like something he sort of invented either. Upstart.com, a company founded last year, this was in 2013, so in 2012, founded by Google exec David Girard, I don't know.
That looks right.
Offers a bit of capital in exchange for a cut of a college graduate's future earnings.
Hooray.
So
Another
just-
loan for the college student to pay off.
It's weird. I mean, it's weird, but it's also like it's such the logical extension of this entrepreneurial and like stock exchange mindset.
Yeah.
I guess.
And that's where like this newer stuff, because it's like a trend that's coming back. And like to some degree, Not that we've made any profit, but to some degree, any content creation, like say podcasting or Twitch streaming or making YouTube videos. I mean,
yeah, but there's a product, and you're buying the product. You're not really investing in the people making it. It's like
right.
you're not like, I don't get, I mean, like the podcasts that I pay like a Patreon $5 a month into, they don't give a fuck what I say about their podcast. They don't have to do anything. You know
No,
what I mean?
exactly. But I think one of the future trends, or like what people are banking on making money soon, is that there are creators out there who are willing to just do what their viewers want, as long as they're willing to pay them to do those things.
Well, that sounds almost just like an extension of being like a cam person.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean,
but you're like a cam person that's like,
so
I
like,
want Gregory to eat McDonald's
you,
today. Because
right,
he hates McDonald's, so it'd be hilarious to watch him eat McDonald's.
I feel like I don't know how that kind of stuff wouldn't just devolve into like sex work, like cam sex work. It seems like it ultimately would be.
Not everything has to turn into sex work. Some of it can just be turned into like making people do shit that they don't like, because people like to watch displeasure in others.
But I feel like that liking to watch displeasure in others is like just a hair away from turning into some like sexual thing. Just because it's online and it's like, it's weird, like sadism. I don't know. I mean, and I'm not making any moral judgment on any of that. Like
I'm gonna skip over to. I think the IPO man is like. I can't help but call it the IPO man. The Mike Merrill thing where he's shares of himself. I think it's like a precursor to this stuff going on right now. But like looking at this New York Times article, creators selling selves. This like this quote from it is like so dystopian to me. But it's like, sure, it's fun to control a famous influencer celebrity. But it's honestly just as entertaining to control someone you go to school with, or your boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, or an author planning their next sci-fi novel, or a beauty founder creating their next makeup palette. She said, it doesn't matter how boring you think you are. There's someone out there who would find your life interesting to a point that they're willing to pay.
And yeah, it just, I mean, this kind of work seems like economic desperation, because like it's people who have nothing. I'm not saying they have nothing to offer, but they feel so much that they have nothing to offer that they're just like, my body and my autonomy and my actions are for sale. Like, it's like, I'm not selling you. I mean, I guess it is a form of entertainment, but it's, I don't know. I guess if I compare it to like the cam stuff, then it's like, well, okay, I guess whatever people like to get off to, or what, or people are willing to do, but
yeah, and I mean, I don't know.
I actually think this Mike Merrill's thing is even more fucked up than this trend that you're talking about.
I think they're very similar.
Because when deeper into this article, when it's like,
or he talks about his having to basically break up with his girlfriend.
Yeah, like his board of trustees, like, says like you would be like 3.8% more productive if you dumped your girlfriend, which he just does. And then the weirder thing was that the girlfriend ends up becoming the majority stakeholder,
right?
I think. And then
stakeholder.
And then it's just like all this weird interpersonal drama, and I don't know. Like you were saying, I think before we hit record, they're apparently, and it looks maybe not true, but a movie in the works about this guy selling himself off one share at a time.
Yeah, I'm sure someone somewhere has maybe bought rights to it, but it might never be made. Because a lot of things just get poached up, right? And it is an interesting story. I could see a movie being made of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It does, though. It does, like, ultimately have it just leaves a depressing taste in my mouth. I don't know. I just feel like humanity could be better than this. Like, I don't know. But also
yeah,
maybe,
I think so too.
yeah, it's like, I don't know, but maybe not. Maybe this is all we can achieve is like decaying capitalism. We'll see. Probably not, actually. Probably be long dead before anything changes dramatically.
It just seems like I get paying someone for like liking the content they make. That's cool. But it gets weird to me when you're literally paying to dictate their actions, which is like seems going to be like one of the next trends, or if it's not already a trend.
Yeah, when it's especially like there seems to be no mechanism to like refuse these things in a way, or like if you do, you'll be financially punished. Like if someone says like, okay, I've like purchased this amount of of your will and I want you to do X, Y, and Z, and you're like, fuck no, I'm not doing Y. Then I guess I don't even know what these things are set up as, but like this is where maybe it's different from the like cam work analogy I was thinking of, where like, because those things, it's just like people pay to watch them, and they tell people like do shit, but they don't have to. Like once you, I think, paid for that stuff, like for access is what you're paying for. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's a difference there. It's not as it's not quite as controlling.
I assume the creator always has the ability to say no, but then they lose out on the money.
That's what I'm saying, is they'll be punished financially. Like whereas like in the setup where it's like people watch someone on a camera, like probably doing sexual stuff, like they might be saying like, hey, do this, do that, but there's no incentive or disincentive for the person to do it or not do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems strange.
Yeah, no, it just seems like it
just seems desperate. Like the word desperate just keeps popping into my mind. That's what I was thinking when I was reading about this Merrill guy as well. Like,
it's just shitty that there's not better outlets for people. That it's basically came down to this place where you have to like just emulate a fucking shitty market to survive.
Yeah, or like, yeah, to try to like break out of like, you know, whatever, living paycheck to paycheck or something like that. But it's almost like the occupational version of selling plasma for whiskey.
Yeah. And
something I've done many times, but I mean,
you're the right
it's degrading type, and it's out of desperation, but like, I wouldn't want to do that every day.
If you're the right type of person, I imagine that some people would pay a lot of money to watch you degrade yourself or just do things at their whim. Maybe not even degrading things. Like,
yeah, if only I knew about this shit when I was in my 20s, I could have made a fortune.
Yeah. I don't know exactly how you would have been making a fortune, but I believe you. But I don't know. I suppose with these creators that they can probably limit what could be asked for them, but I imagine the ones who make the most money would be the ones who are willing to like do the most stuff. And I don't know how much aspects of their life they would be allowed to control. It just seems, I don't know, it just seemed gross to me reading through this stuff and thinking about that thing. Just like, why would anyone subject themselves to just...
I mean, this Mike Merrill guy was clearly like, you know, the first sentence says it all. He's like an aspiring entrepreneur, which means like, I want to find a bag of money on the road type of person.
That's true. And I imagine most of the people who are willing to sell themselves on these new social media platforms are thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
To some degree.
I mean, there are definitely people to feel much more sympathy for, but like, I mean, I guess I don't even feel bad for this guy necessarily. It's just
no,
like,
I don't feel bad for him. I just feel like it's
the situation is bad. Like the larger cultural situation is bad.
yeah, that we're in a culture where it seems acceptable to do this to yourself.
I mean, I think most people would still think this is pretty weird, but maybe not. I don't know. Like, actually, it got me thinking about other kind of weird stuff that people get paid by. Like, do you ever hear about like corporations like paying people to like? There was some guy at least one time who like got paid a very relatively small amount of money to tattoo like a corporate logo on his forehead or something, like shit like that. Like,
yeah,
that stuff's yeah, it's quite literally
I mean, the tattoo thing's a bit extreme, but plenty of like celebrities or even like micro celebrities or whatever you call, like, say, a famous YouTuber. Is that a micro celebrity? I don't know.
Yeah,
are paid plenty of money by different sponsorships.
Yeah,
you know, to
that seems a bit different to me, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I guess there is an element of choice in all of it, but yeah.
Well, that element of choice seems to be taken away slightly when, like, your other option is working a shitty call center job.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing just speaks to, like, the larger problem of employment and in the United States, and how normal backbreaking jobs, like, pay nothing for the most part. I mean, almost always. Like, I'm thinking of like manual labor jobs that pay well, and like there's not that many of them. There's not that many kinds of them, and there's not that many of them. Like, you know, there's like the classic like super dangerous jobs, right? Like working on like the like fishing boats or whatever in Alaska.
Oilfield jobs.
Which actually, those jobs probably, given that you're very much so risking your life in a lot of ways, probably still, like, the pay that they're getting is still probably not commiserate or whatever.
Not as much as it should be.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Opinion. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I guess this is all to say what's obvious is like minimum wage should be like $25 an hour, and that's just like a good place to start, at least. I don't know.
Or everyone should just be guaranteed like certain things such as housing, food, medical care without jobs. Just give it to them. All of it. I'm in that place.
No, me too.
I mean, I'm for minimum wage being higher, but I don't want more than that. I want just like fucking guarantee. We've got plenty in this world. There's, my understanding, more housing than people, and like in fucking empty housing at that.
Yeah, and like while there is like depleting natural resources of certain things, there's not when it comes to food, shelter. I guess that's about it, because I mean there is a water crisis impending. There
is a water crisis impending. There's actually I lost it. There was the news from NASA that we're not doing so well on carbon emissions.
Oh yeah, you told me the very depressing fact.
I mean, like, basically at the numbers they had stated, and I'm going to have to pull up the numbers here in a second, but basically we've hit the halfway mark of like 100% like extinction, which means that like we're quite on track for 50% of all life just dying out.
By like 2040 something, you said?
2044, I think.
Jesus, that seems accelerated even by my very pessimistic intuitions. But I mean, I guess by life, I mean, we're talking about lots of unseen species that we don't really think about all the time, but I don't know, it tracks, at least in my bones. That makes sense to me. And Yeah, just my mind started wandering though to like things that are like, I mean, obviously everything is ultimately limited, of course. Like if we're gonna play that game, but you know, like the idea of like having more than enough in this on this globe to like take care of everybody is definitely true. But like I mean, fossil fuels are like limited, and I don't know exactly what the stats are on those running out. I can't remember. I feel like I used to know, and it's not that long. Maybe like 100 years more from now. And what else would there be? I mean, like if we're gonna insist on needing to continue to use all of the modern things we have, like computers and phones and shit, those are they rely on vital, like whatever minerals and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it does.
Like even like, you know, like for solar cells. Although I think I remember reading some point that like some lab in Germany's like, I think like the forefront of solar technology, had figured out a way to like recycle even like basically solar panels. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, the ultimate goal, of course, would be, maybe not of course, but I mean, just full communism. It's so funny how much of a fucking dirty word that is that I can't even say it without laughing. But like, I don't know. I feel like it just almost like needs to be called something else, because like it's in fact, like it's been so, I mean, even like people like barely can get the word socialism out in the United States without somebody like having a fucking aneurysm. But like somehow,
well, I mean, for most of my life, it's been demonized. It wasn't until very recently that like more and more people started like accepting it.
Yeah, and it's still like it's still quite a weapon of a word. Like that speech Trump finally gave, wherever that was, CPAC. Like all he did was just go socialism this, socialism that, like scare everybody and get everyone whipped up.
Yeah, so basically the thing with the climate I was talking about is that we're on the trajectory to where no matter what, it's going up 1 to 2 degrees Celsius, like the global temperature, which is like the halfway mark for like just unsustainable for life on the planet, which is like 3 or 4.
Which I believe is like the point of no return, the 2 degrees.
Yeah, well, we're going up 1.5 no matter what, according to this recent study, the from the climate.nasa blog.
Yeah,
link to or send you the link to, but it's real scary shit, because I mean, while I bitch about coronavirus all the time, we'll probably survive it, but the climate stuff I worry that we really are doing nothing about. But I guess Elon Musk is giving us electric cars, eh? Elon Musk is giving us electric cars and high-speed rails, and he's also promised a planet. He's promised us a hell of a planet out of Mars that we're going to get to live on once he terraforms it for all of his rich friends.
I'd rather melt on Earth than go to Mars with Elon Musk.
Why?
Not that I'm going to have the option anyway, but
he can live forever if you're lucky.
I don't think so. I have a feeling I'd die like on the way there.
You or Musk?
Probably me.
Musk is going to upload himself into every other human.
Yeah.
And everyone will have their own personal
That guy's
Musk.
just going to like trip over his shoelace and fucking impale his head on something. And I'll fucking laugh.
Was his father a diamond mine owner?
Emeralds.
What?
Emeralds,
diamonds. They're basically the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, one's green.
One's not green.
But yeah, they're fucking rocks.
One's hard.
They're precious rocks.
The other one, I guess, is also hard, but not as hard.
Should we finish out the episode just listing the differences and similarities of diamonds and emeralds.
Some rocks are real cool, man. Especially the uncut ones. God, I loved that movie, Uncut Jewels.
You loved it so much that you called it the wrong word.
Uncut gems, like I was saying, uncut gems. Great movie starring Adam Curtis. Where he plays a jewel dealer in Boston.
I love that Adam Sandler album, Run the Jewels.
It's a good album. But I digress. That album was named Run the Gems.
Killer Mike with his project Run the Gems, collaborating with Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that was the great Mike Hammer.
I mean, we're kind of jumping around here, but I mean, we got to just check in with Cuomo. He's a piece of shit still. He's just like, the last headline I saw was Cuomo refuses, like defiantly refuses to resign amid like all these allegations about him being sexually inappropriate with women that worked for him. He's just like, he's so arrogant. It's just, I mean, you just have to kind of laugh at it in a way because it's just so ridiculous. But the more even further ridiculous thing is all of the Democrats that are defending him.
Why are they defending him?
Because they don't want to admit to have been wrong about him being like such a wonderful, beautiful soul who, you know, saved us from Trump or whatever, even though he killed like 15,000 people. I think that's the main reason. And then also like, because now, like if they open up the floodgates of like, oh, we can criticize Democrats, then it's like, oh, well, let's take a look at those accusations against Biden again. And nobody wants to think about that. Oh shit, hang on. Just saw a headline. Interesting. Here's what Biden has to say about Cuomo's sexual harassment scandal. Listen to this just classic stupid politician speak. He was asked what he thinks, should he resign or not. Biden said, I think the investigation is underway and we should see what it brings us. So in other words, you're just saying you have no opinion. And he also went on to say, rather, Nancy Pelosi, when asked about it, declined to say he should resign, but said only that he, quote, must look inside his heart to decide if he should step down. Do you remember when Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden were all saying that Brett Kavanaugh should look inside his heart to see if he should step down? Or did they say that about Trump too? When Trump was accused of rape and sexual harassment? No, I don't think they did. Yeah, no. It's just fucking so stupid. Oh, it looks like some of the Dems have said Cuomo should resign. Kristen, is it Gillibrand or Gillibrand? I never know.
I think it's Gillibrand.
And Chuck Schumer, Chucky Schumes. Chucky Schumes is growing a small backbone, sort of. Not really. I mean, it shouldn't be like brave to say, yeah, this asshole. I don't know. The whole thing just drives me crazy. Because he should be in fucking jail.
Yeah, probably.
He should be in jail.
But he's in that income bracket, man, that doesn't go to jail.
I know, but he should be in jail. Didn't
I start this show by saying I don't believe in punishing people? He should be hospitalized. People should talk to him. You know where he
should be hospitalized? A fucking old folks home filled with fucking coronavirus.
He should be talked to by psychologists who really want to get to the bottom of people who just want insane amounts of power and try to figure out like what causes such a disorder.
Yeah, what went on in his little Cuomo boyhood to make him step over everyone and on everyone that gets in his way for just power for its own sake. What happened? How did we get there? And he, like, Cuomo basically says that, like, he says that he didn't, like, physically do anything to any of these women, but then doesn't completely deny the sort of verbal things. But all he says is, well, I'm sorry if they were offended. I didn't mean to offend. So it's like, it's their problem for being offended. But yeah, I mean, anyway, like, the more I like look into this, I mean, and this should be looked into, of course. He should be like punished for this. This should be investigated. But like, it's just like, it's burying the bigger story about, and it is a bigger story. I mean, 15,000 people dead because of his, like, knowingly sending people into a fucking furnace of coronavirus.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the story that should be plastered all over. And I mean, it should have been months ago too. Like, it's taken like a year basically.
It was basically released months ago from what I remember. But
and I mean, but people were talking about it. Was like a known fact in a way. It's just like there wasn't any
at the same time, people
there were no
talking
prosecutors
about running him
talking
as president. I don't know if you remember that. But there was brief moments where he was being floated as like, oh, we should run Cuomo as being the nominee.
Yeah, that was before they like completely twisted the knife into Bernie, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it was like maybe right after Bloomberg dropped out. They're like, "Hey, some other asshole from New York could do it," because that was when people were still like, "Oh Jesus, Biden really?" Here's
anyone but Biden, unless it's Bernie.
Right. Here's one last thing about this. Cuomo. This is his statement about why he refuses to resign. I was elected by the people of the state. I wasn't elected by politicians, said Cuomo during a brief conference call with reporters. I'm not going to resign because of allegations. All right.
Well, that settles that. Not going to resign. Nothing to be done about it.
He also, like, just those first two sentences, like, you were elected by politicians, number one, asshole. But it just like, it's such a nonsensical, he's such a moron. Ugh, I just hate this fucking guy. Get him off my screen, me.
I'm with you. So should we start wrapping up?
Yeah, I guess we should. Oh shit, it's later than I thought. Yeah. Recommendations?
Yeah, we can do some of those.
I had something in mind, and then I got to think about it a second. I forgot. Oh, what was it? Oh, okay.
Got it?
Yeah. I will recommend. I've been watching a lot of movies these days. I guess I'm always kind of watching movies, but maybe more than usual. And I rewatched for the first time The Master, the P.T. Anderson movie from 2012, I want to say.
I keep meaning to rewatch that. I have not got around to it.
Real good rewatch. The first time I saw it was like right when it came out, right when I could like, it was right when I moved to Korea, which was in 2012. I remember like in my like empty, like literally empty apartment, and I had like a shitty laptop, and I was like I was getting Wi-Fi from like a neighbor or something. Desperate times. And I got my hands on like some really shitty copy of it online and tried to watch it that way. And I think I got like, anyway, I didn't watch it in ideal conditions is my point.
Sure.
Which meant I didn't really
watch it.
I didn't fully appreciate it. Like I remember liking certain bits and then just, I don't know. But great rewatch, you know, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix has had a lot of good performances, but that might be one of his best, I think. Yeah, it's a little slow, I guess, but I don't know. It's just very well shot, very well acted. And there's more of a narrative to it than I kind of realized the first time. So I recommend rewatching it or just watching it for the first time. And I got a second one, totally opposite type of movie.
Okay.
I watched this movie the other day called Freeway.
I've not heard of it.
It's from like the mid 90s. I want to say like 95 or 96. And I think it was the first movie Reese Witherspoon was ever in, or at least the first thing she ever starred in. It was like an indie movie. And it's, I think my friend and I watched it when we were like kids, basically, like, I don't know, 12 or 13 or something. And, it's just kind of a 90s edginess. Maybe you could even say there's like a little bit of a strain of like there were so many like Tarantino ripoffs in like the mid 90s.
Yeah, I remember I watched some of them. Some of them were really bad.
Yeah, a lot of them were really bad. This movie is not, I would not say it's a good movie either, but I wouldn't say it's like a so bad it's good either. It's somewhere in between. It's worth watching just for I don't know, for me it was just like I wanted to see something I hadn't seen since I was really young, and it was also because I was like thinking about Reese Witherspoon movies, because Haywan made me watch Legally Blonde the other day, which I'd never seen before, and I will never see again. But
was it great?
It was actually not as bad as I expected it to be, I guess. But I was like, it just like hit me. Like I hadn't thought about the movie Freeway in like 20 years or something. And I was like saying to Haywan, like, oh, she was in this really fucked up movie that's like the opposite of this one, where she plays like this like white trash girl whose parents are like drug addicts and like abusers. And she basically like apparently the movie is supposed to be some sort of play on Little Red Riding Hood, which is kind of silly because it barely is, like, but anyway, she like kind of goes on this like road trip journey by herself and like has to like fight off this like serial killer who's played by Kiefer Sutherland, and he does a pretty good job as a creepy motherfucker. Anyway, I recommend it, but I mean, at the same time, maybe check out The Master first. Maybe just do a weird pairing of the two movies back to back. Those are my recommendations.
What do I recommend? Well, it's been a long time since I've recommended The Boys.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. Actually, I rewatched Future Boy Conan recently, which it's okay if you haven't heard of it, but it was Miyazaki being the famed Japanese anime director Miyazaki. First anime, which was like a 70s cartoon in Japan, and it's still really cool, and I recommend it. That's one of my recommendations because it makes me feel good, and he's a fucking great director and artist. My other recommendation, I like this game I've been playing that's very cheap called Loop Hero, which is basically just a world building game where you build games by playing cards. And I like cards and I like games. So my two recommendations is Future Boy Conan, if you like Miyazaki, which I do. It's like his original work, and it's a genius. And this game called Loop Hero.
Loop Hero?
Loop, like a loop.
Yeah.
Hero.
Hero?
Hero, yeah. Like
oh shit, hero. Zoom's breaking up.
But
Yellow?
Yeah, I don't really have many other. Oh, you can't hear me? I don't really have any other.
I couldn't for a second.
My other recommendations is get vaccinated if that's an option for you. and hope that everyone else does soon. Don't be stubborn about it. I do know some people are saying they just won't get the vaccination, which I think is the wrong route. But I don't know.
Yeah, at least fucking... I don't know. We'll get into a whole thing.
And continue wearing masks.
I was gonna say wear a fucking mask even if you live in Texas.
Yeah. Don't give up on mask. I'm actually thinking that I might continue wearing mask after all this is over, just because I think I've officially been less sick this year than I have any other year of teaching, or this year being since March of last year.
Yeah,
crazy. Like that. I guess all this started around March of last year, and I just saw all the fucking what is it, jibguri, the housewarming party. Is that what it's called in Korea? Jibguri? I think it's jibguri. It doesn't matter if it's not called that. From when Tommy moved into his new place at Hapjeong, I was like, oh, that was a fucking year ago? Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think that was the last time I went to a party. That's not completely true, but feels that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I've thought about that too. Like, it's gonna have to be like really, really fucking over before I start walking around without one on. Honestly, like, or at least like when it comes to like being on public transportation and stuff like that. I imagine like how weird it would feel to like go out without one on it now.
I know.
And every now and then I've like this hasn't happened recently. This was more of like when drinking, but like I would just like walk outside to like go to the store to get more beer or whatever, and like get all the way to the store and then feel the wind on my face and be like, fuck, and have to like walk back and put it on because they actually care about that stuff here. Well, I mean, like, I could probably go in there and be an asshole, but, like, I would never want to do that. No, I think it's just, like, illegal, at least at certain points here. Anyway, really dragging out the end here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Find us at heatdeathpod.com.
Good point. I knew there was something.
If you like us, talk to us. Talk to us however you know to talk to us online. There are many methods. You can
DM us on Twitter at HeatDeathPod.
DM us on Reddit if you see our post from Reddit. And if you made it this far into the show, please give us some feedback because, I mean, really, if you've listened to the full episode, that means that you're interested. So talk to us. We'll talk to you.
Yeah, tell us if you watched along with any of those Jurassic Park commentaries.
Please. Okay.
All right, we should call it.
Yeah.
Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
Adios.
The first voice recording was made in 1860. It was a 10-second fragment of the French folk song Au clair de la lune recorded by inventor Edward Leon Scott de Martinville. But who will make the final voice recording and when? What will it be? Who will hear it?